Man, oh man, we have a lot to talk about today, a lot to celebrate today because the mainstream is irrelevant. The fans continue to win. It was a good day yesterday. Even Ryan was smiling for a brief moment. Hi, Ryan.
I was, sometimes I do get pleasure through others' pain. That's the sociopath in me, I suppose. But yeah, ultimately, the Acolyte was an enormous disaster. $180 million on the least viewed Star Wars project that they've ever had on Disney Plus. It got canceled, deservedly so. Yet at the same time, it's almost a surprise. It's almost a surprise that Lucasfilm and Disney decided, you know what, we can't have another season of this. It's just that bad. That tells you what a true failure it was. That even this company, and this section of this company that's made terrible decision after terrible decision, all based on identity politics, even they knew it wasn't good enough for a season 2.
So funny, dude. The meltdown right now is absolutely crazy. People are saying I'm not in sync. The fuck?
You never are.
Hang on. I'll go to my other camera. See if
it's actually really funny. The other day, the video you uploaded, I think about Black Myth Wukong reacting to
RGT.
Yeah, whoever that is. His whole side seemed out of sync the entire fucking time with your screen share.
Did you not see what I said?
No,
I acknowledged it. Yeah, I acknowledged it. So I saw it when I was editing, and I'm like, and so I tried to fix it. I went into my settings, and I still couldn't fix the sync to re-record it. So I just uploaded that, and I just put a little edit in there saying I knew it was like that, but he deserves it for not following me back on Twitter.
I didn't watch the entire video. I skipped around a little bit of it, so that's probably why.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got to fix it. So I don't know if it's OB, because obviously we're not on OBS right now. Did this fix the sync issue? Me switching cameras, by the way. Let me know, chat. But either way, Jeremy looks like he's in a badly dubbed Godzilla movie. Lance Finn says it's good now, sadly still gay. All right, so it must be the camera. Again, aspiring YouTubers out there, the worst thing you can do is buy top tier equipment in terms of cameras and all that shit. Buy a mic, but don't buy top tier equipment like in terms of like cameras and all that other bullshit. Just cheap webcam. That's the way to go. I will die on that hill right there. I'll also die on the hill that the Acolyte is a pile of garbage. Yeah, the glorious meltdown that we're seeing right now, like, you can't buy that type of entertainment. The pronouns and bio weirdos, the blue-haired freaks, they are losing their minds right now on social media, and it is the best entertainment you're going to find. They are making every excuse possible. They've already got their hashtag Save the Acolyte campaign going on. They're blaming the toxic fans. These are the same people that claim that there was no negativity surrounding the Acolyte. There was no negativity. You're just racist if you're saying that. And there are tons of fans. What was that stupid cringe fucking video with all those fucking Star Wars fans?
There are more of us.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, man.
Spoiler alert. There isn't more.
There isn't.
Like, that's truly what we're seeing right now. We're seeing delusional people. And, there's often times where I can admit that I like something and I might be in the minority of that, but I still like it anyway. And you just kind of have to understand that. For years and years, we have seen like this section of Star Wars fandom, which oftentimes get big interaction on their tweets or things like that, because it's a small, very loud section of the Star Wars fan base, typically very young, typically very activist, woke, activist-minded, very woke ideology, pronouns in bios, trans flags, now with Palestine flags, Black Lives Matter, whatever, right? This type of crowd. And they have gaslit themselves into thinking that they are actually much bigger than they are. This show was specifically catered to them, from who they hired, to who they cast, to the writer's room, to everything they decided to put first and foremost when it came to the show. And this was their time to shine. This was their time to show how powerful and strong they really are. That we, the people who have been bitching about Disney Star Wars for the past several years, that we are actually the minority. We are the loud minority in the fandom. No, it's you. You are the insignificant fragment of this portion of the Star Wars fan base. And for the people that did like it, it does suck, right? If you actually did like this show and it gets canceled, that sucks. But the truth, the reality is, Nobody tuned in to watch this. And the handful of people that did, that gave it a chance, they hated it. They thought it was shit. And that does not merit a season 2. That's just the truth. And they can't handle that right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that is 100% accurate. And I have trouble having any sympathy for any of the fucking weirdos that like this show. I really do. I have a lot of trouble having any sympathy for them. You like a fucking show that is supposed to be targeted to children, that has spaced lesbian witches, that has all this fucking weird shit going on. You like a show that is a show. The showrunner is Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, someone that failed to protect women from Harvey Weinstein, and you're supportive of that. Yet you're all about women's rights and human rights and all that other bullshit. I have a lot of fucking trouble because these fucking people are goddamn freaks. Okay, are there some normal people like this show? I'm sure there are, but you have to, if you're normal, then you understand that a bunch of fucking freaks like this show and a bunch of freaks are behind the show. So if you're normal, you at least have to recognize that. Like, again, I've talked about it many times how I like X-Men Origins Wolverine. Was I sad because I didn't get more of that Deadpool? No, I understood I was in the slim minority. Nobody should feel sorry for me because I like a bad fucking movie that nobody else liked. Nobody. I like Terminator Salvation. Nobody else liked that movie at the time.
I like the movie.
It's starting. Yeah. I heard it mentioned the other day on a stream. I think it was this one.
Yeah, I accidentally called it Terminator Genesis, and then I remembered it Salvation. But yeah.
I looked at the chat, and I was surprised at the amount of people that are like, I like Salvation. I'm like, where the fuck were you back in the day? Because I was the only one that liked this movie. But point being is, when you are a normal person and you like a show or a movie or a game that most people don't like, then you don't need people to feel sorry for you when your show or movie or game gets canceled, because you recognize I like something that most people don't like, and that's fine. I don't need validation. I don't need other people to tell me, oh, you're right for liking this thing that most people don't like. I don't need that. And normal people don't need that. The fucking weirdos need that shit. They need positive reinforcement. They need validation for their opinions. Normal people don't. So fuck them. Show was dog shit and always was going to get canceled. It was always going to fail.
Yeah, and I've already got a couple like things tabbed aside that we can go through for some of these reactions to it with people like so misunderstand. They're like, I'm so sick of Star Wars catering to these types of people. It's like, bitch, this show is for you and no one showed up. Like, this was the one. Right? If you actually had any power or influence, or if it was sizable at all, if your group of the Star Wars fan base was as big as you pretend to say it is, this show should have been more of a success. And it just wasn't. And, there are some things that maybe didn't get the right marketing or whatever at the time. And, it gets like this kind of cult following. Not a lot of people watched it, but the people that did continue to say it was really good. You got to give it a chance, whatever. That's not this situation. This is a situation where I had all the marketing in the world, all the exposure in the world. People didn't like what they saw in the lead up, but the people that did give it a chance hated it.
Yeah, and you had you had the star of the show make a diss track against the fans.
I'm waiting for the follow-up, Amanda. Where's the follow-up, Amanda Stenberg? Give it to us. And I see a lot of people saying it's so tragic that a lot of people are going and commenting on Amanda Stenberg's Instagram. And, I'm sure a handful of those are like over the top things that people shouldn't be saying. But the reality is, this is somebody who in the middle of this show airing made a 3-minute diss track to attack Star Wars fans. Mm-hmm. And now you're getting upset that people, now that the show's canceled, are kind of putting it back in her face. If you're going to go out there and attack fans that way, you should expect some clapback. That's just the reality.
Yeah, this is glorious. And not only to mention, like, there's so much going on. Black Myth Wukong is breaking records right now. And the mainstream losers, the same mainstream losers that were pushing this Acolyte as a success narrative, they're the same ones that was pushing this Black Myth Wukong as a failure narrative. Like, yesterday was a crazy day. Crazy day. Now, like I told you, Ryan, I was live when I found out the Acolyte got canceled, and I was like, holy shit, is this real? I couldn't believe it. I was like, are we, this really just happened? And here we are. And the meltdown, the tears, it's been glorious. And these are a bunch of people that hate your guts. that are melting down over the Acolyte. They hate your guts. They despise you. They want nothing more than for the thing that you love to be destroyed, and that's their motivation for liking the Acolyte. It's because they know that the chuds hate it, that the toxic fans hate it. That's their motivation to continue to support it right there. And guess what? You got nothing left to support because it was never going to see a season 2. Just like Solo's not going to get a sequel. There's still these fucking freaks out there that are crying about having a Solo sequel. They're still out there. Like, what? Like, so you got, what's his name? Childish Gambino, when he made his This Is America song, which feels a lot like Amanda Stenberg's performance in her hit piece. And it's just like they're both attached to failed Star Wars projects. I like that. And do you see the rumor about the Lando series popped up again? Or not a rumor, the story that it got canceled. It started recirculating again.
Yeah, that was like a non-story that a bunch of people thought was a story, because that was, remember, like a year ago when the news came out that the Lando series is not happening. It got turned into a movie, and Donald Glover and his brother are going to be behind it. And Justin Simeon, the director who was supposed to be there before, that's how he found out he got fired and that his series was no longer happening. And he made a big deal about it. He's like, I guess I was too black and gay for Disney, while he was actively the director for that dog shit Haunted Mansion movie that flopped for them as well.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Just a fake victim bitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he did an interview like 2 weeks ago where they asked him about that, and those quotes got out there, and people like, oh my gosh, the Lando series is canceled. It's like, yeah, it has been. Now, whether there's any forward motion in the Lando movie as it is with Donald Glover attached, I don't know. But that was kind of a non-story that was just recycled.
Well, so let me ask you this. So what happens with the Acolyte, with the characters and all of that from a canon standpoint? How does this work? So they just still exist in Star Wars canon? So they don't carry on?
Yeah, they'll still exist. They still have their books and probably a couple comic books and things like that they'll do with the characters, but you know, they exist.
The fact that they introduced Plagueis.
So stupid. I did see a lot of funny tweets that it's like, now we're never going to find out who this guy is, showing the Yoda picture, like the back of Yoda's head. That was kind of funny.
This is so funny, dude. This is we knew this is going to happen. All right, let's read some super chats really quick. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it.
$50 from Tomac. Says, Jojo, I reject my humanity. I return to monkey.
Is that a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reference? Am I right about? I've never seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, although I know people that watch it. Am I right about that?
JoJo Siwa freak.
Let's see. Let's see if the chat will tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Dorian Stanley, member 14 months. Love you guys. Help me get through my dad's losing his fight with cancer. Kept my spirits up. And Jeremy is a fig. Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Oh, it's the Black Myth Wukong reference?
Well, Black Myth Wukong is the monkey reference. The JoJo reference, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, the JoJo. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. JoJo part.
Yeah, I don't know what the JoJo part is, because if it is a Black Myth Wukong, I haven't played it yet.
So we're gonna talk about
read Journey to the West. So
we're gonna be playing. We're gonna talk about Black Myth Wukong here in just a bit.
I'm gonna be playing it later this week, certainly. Thank you, Dorian. Sorry to hear about your dad, man. G&G play highlights for 5. I can't believe the level of cope and seething over the Acolyte cancellation. Many folks are revealing they knew nothing about Star Wars in the process.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. It's been rough for them. They're having a rough day. They may give into that temptation that they've been feeling ever since they put that trans flag in their bio, you know. Rough day for some Acolyte fans.
And by the way, back to Dorian real quick, because I apologize, I got sidetracked. But sorry about your dad. But we're glad that we can give you any type of entertainment here. So we got you back.
Darth Corn Pop. He was a bad dude. The blaming of one, the blaming of two, the blaming of many. Yeah. Boba Fett for 199. The Acolyte taught us good people can destroy evil. And yeah, you know, it's funny, these arguments we're seeing from these people, these Acolyte fans out there, only one of two things can be true based on the way they're arguing, right? If Disney is just giving in to this toxic corner of the fan base, blah, blah, blah. Either we have significant fucking power that all the times you said, oh, we don't affect anything. You're just screaming into the void, blah, blah, blah. You have no power. Either we have immense power or you are so fucking small it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of two things has to be correct from their perspective. Tobias for 2. Jeremy, you're more Backstreet than NSYNC.
Hey, no. NSYNC's better than Backstreet Boys. Okay. Although, like, who's not going to sing I Want It That Way when it comes on? Who's not going to sing that? Like, you have to. Yeah. I don't care who you are. At
least if you're like above the age of 20, you know what I mean? Like,
there's like, you can't not sing that song when it comes on. It's just, you have to. Everybody knows it. Everybody
if you
knows
don't
it.
sing it, you're gay.
That is true.
Like if you don't sing it, it's because you're like actually fucking gay and you're like don't want to let anybody know. You know, that's like the only way you wouldn't sing that song. Gremlin Anku for 10. The power of 1, the power of 2, the power of canceled. B Pauls. Look at Gary with shit on his face. I'm sad. I was hoping to see the first black female lesbo fight with lightsaber Wolverine claws and lightsaber nunchucks. Have to wait till the next project, I guess.
Yep.
Master Austin with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Master Austin.
Henchman for 20 on Rumble says, I guess that discourse was more than Amandla could handle. Hail the 199. Thank you, Henchman 2896 on Rumble. We appreciate that. I have more questions for Ryan, but I'll let him read a few more super chats. But I got more questions for you about Star Wars.
Penguin Overlord for 2. Make them then meme them reen. Well, I already put a video out this morning about it, so I'm on top of it. Taker for 2. Moment of silence for the pronoun beaver. Yo, Basil was a fucking retard, dude. Like, his actions make no sense at all. Even his existence is stupid. His existence was created just so they could introduce this little fucking cute character, because the only way to track down Kelnaka was to get a scent dog, and they happen to still have like a piece of his cloak from 2 years ago. It's fucking weird.
It is weird.
But
I mean, the saddest part of this is that Jay's never going to hit 100,000 subscribers. That's the saddest part.
Yeah, this was his opportunity. You know,
it's going to happen, but I guess it's not going to happen now.
Apocalypto for $50. Guys, I'm a huge fan and know some of you are into tabletop RPGs. I have a project I'm working on for Pathfinder First Edition. Would like to share it. The first book is done. What's the best way to share it with you?
So we do have a tabletop channel, Geeks Gamers Tabletop. Arudai used to run that channel. Now Sevi runs it because Arudai sucks. But I would say if you get in contact with them over it, I mean, if you can obviously forward it to me, Jeremy at geeksandgamers.com. And but getting it to them is probably going to be a more efficient way to get it to more of a community that will be interested for sure. So yeah, and I'm sure that if you contact them via Twitter or something like that, but tabletop, Geeks Gamers Tabletop be the best way. And thank you for the support. We appreciate it. And good luck on your project.
Good luck. Yeah, I guess we could just hop right into it and look at some of the reactions we have here. I think I'm good there. All right.
Well, let me ask you. I want to ask you this, Ryan. So, do you think that this has any real impact on the future of Disney Star Wars and their approach to what they're going to do, or do you think it's just a one-off where they just realize it's a fucking failure? Do you think there's really anything that they're going to go, yeah, we really need to change course, or do you think that's just not something that's going to happen right now?
It's kind of interesting because as crazy as some of the outlandish reactions have been to the Acolyte being canceled, there are a few things out there that kind of make an interesting point. It's right. Even though the Acolyte has flaws and even though it wasn't good, I'm worried that by them canceling this, they're really not going to do anything that might be different than what they've been doing. They're not going to take any risk, get outside of this timeline or that timeline. I think that's an interesting point. They might just continue to go back to this Mandoverse this era right after the original trilogy, like in that time frame. And I do think long-term, that's not a good plan for them. I've been saying for a long time, they need to get out of that. They do need to do something different. And this was something different, but the approach they took for it was horrific. So if one of the lessons they learned from this as well, we can't ever do anything that's outside of just these characters that remind you of this over and over and over and over again. Ultimately, I do think that's kind of a bad thing. In terms of, do I think that this means that Lucasfilm is just done with identity politics? No. Ahsoka shouldn't have got a season 2. It just shouldn't have. The numbers don't justify it getting a season 2. You know what the second lowest season finale is for any show in Disney Star Wars history? It's Ahsoka. Now, it had about 40% more viewers than the Acolyte did in that finale, but still, it's not. It should not have been enough to justify that. I think the reason that Ahsoka gets a season 2 is because it's Dave Filoni's fucking baby, and I think he has kind of carte blanche to do pretty much whatever he wants at this point. And I think it also ties in completely to what
the
they're
movies
doing
and all that
movie and the Mando and Grogu movie. So they were almost forced into giving that a season 2. But if that had been a standalone project, that doesn't get a season 2.
Yeah,
like it shouldn't.
Absolutely.
Obi-Wan didn't do season 2.
Which is still shocking. It's shocking how badly that show fell off compared to how, I mean, it's not shocking if you watched it, but I'm just saying the amount of people that were watching it in the beginning because of sheer interest, because of Hayden, and Ewan McGregor coming back, to where it ended up, unbelievable fall off on that. But let's look at some of the reaction from some of these weirdos crying about this dog shit show that was always going to get canceled. Never stood a chance to succeed.
Yeah. We can't say it was a surprise, but obviously the news came out yesterday that what we've been waiting for a month since its finale was finally announced. The Acolyte canceled no season 2 for Disney Plus's Star Wars series. Now, this should not come as a surprise, but it still almost does, because this is Lucasfilm. This is Lucasfilm, a company that's made terrible decision after terrible decision. So for them to actually make this decision tells you how bad it truly was. And recently we found out what the actual numbers were, the ratings behind the Acolyte, finding out that it was the lowest viewed Star Wars project in history by a long shot, by a big margin. You see the finale, 335 million minutes watched. Good enough to crack into the top 10 for original programming, but still never appeared in the actual top 10. But look at the comparisons, 335 million minutes. Look at the other ones that we have. Ahsoka, 575 million, and or doubled it up, right? And Andor was a show that had positive momentum towards the end.
Correct.
Ahsoka was something that had a negative downtrend towards the end. Obi-Wan, 860, which opened to like the biggest thing that they'd ever seen at that point for a Disney Star Wars project. It fell off hard as well, 860 million minutes.
And that's the context that some people don't understand. Some people don't. Anyway, the context of it, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, by the opening of that, should have been the #1 show on that list by a mile, but it didn't hold the audience at all. It did not hold the audience. So it kind of, and then I don't know what happened with Book of Boba Fett.
Well,
I don't know why
I'll tell you why that happened for Book of Boba Fett. That's, that is one of the few that did have the pause momentum at the end. It's because if you remember episodes, the last 2 episodes of that were the Mando and Grogu episode where they teased reuniting them, and then Luke reunite them at the end in Boba Fett's show.
Did Luke show up in that one too?
He did in the second to last episode.
Okay.
And then the finale, they left on a cliffhanger whether Grogu's going to come back or not, all that stuff. And then you have Mando season 3 and Mando season 2 at over 1 billion minutes watched. But the reactions, Jeremy, have just been great. I think Amy's talking to you here. I'm really tired of sharing the franchise I love with toxic, misogynistic, immature racists. Mature racists would have been fine, by the way, and constantly seeing them be catered to, even though the rest of us have been here all along, wanting new and fresh stories that connect deeply with all of us. You're the ones that are being catered to by Disney Star Wars, Jeremy, just so you know. It's not like this show was literally made to cater to people like you. And that was not the only person saying that. Here you have the Acolyte being canceled is only going to fuel the most annoying people in the fandom who held a full-on hate train without even watching it because they don't know how to think for themselves. Disney needs to stop catering to these losers.
Oh my
God. We're the ones that we didn't even know this, Jeremy. How dumb are we? Disney Star Wars has actually been catering to us all along. Man, I didn't know that.
They made a show from top to bottom specifically for these weirdos with, look at there it is, pronouns in bio from this weirdo. This show from the beginning to the end, from every piece of marketing, from every piece of casting, from the lack of character development, because we know weirdos like this don't like character development, from every aspect of this show was catered to these people, and it failed miserably. Why? It's not because they didn't watch it. Oh, the weirdos watched it. The weirdos were all in. The reason it failed is because there's not a lot of those weirdos compared to the normal Star Wars fan. There's not many of them. It's a very small group of weird people that don't deserve a show with a $180 million fucking budget. That's the bottom line. That's it. The show catered to you, and you did, and there weren't enough of you to actually justify its existence.
Yeah,
That's the fact.
This was your opportunity, right? This was your opportunity to show that we, myself, you, Gary, a lot of other people we talk to all the time, that we were actually wrong, right? There's actually so many more of you. There are more of us than there are of you haters. There's not. There's just not. Star Wars continues to fold under the pressure of the worst, smallest, loudest part of the fan base. This is so wildly disappointing. Such a shameful move on Disney's part to abandon great stories and storytellers because of trolls. The Acolyte deserved better. The Acolyte deserves less, actually. It never should have came out to begin with. But again, this is the irony of posts like this. The worst, smallest, loudest parts of the fan base. You are describing the Acolyte fan base. You are describing the group of people that this was made for. The stands out there, the pronoun in bios, the trans flags and Palestine flags in your profile, which those two don't go together. Sorry to tell you. Like you are the worst, smallest, loudest part in the fan base. And the Acolyte proves that. It proves what we've been saying all along.
And I have to say this because it has to be said, and I'm not going to get into the details of the why. Do not target any of these people. Do not harass them on our account. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not justifying any of that. It's an isolated laugh fest right here, but don't go after these people.
We're looking at these reactions from these people that are delusional about this show. Now, I haven't replied to any of them. I haven't quote tweeted any of them. I'm not slamming. I'm not doing anything like that because they do not matter. They exist in this little bubble on Twitter. And that's just reality.
I used to respond to people on Twitter, and then Ryan just kept yelling at me about it to the point I'm like, every time I would quote tweet somebody, I'm like, Ryan's gonna fucking text me and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
I told Jeremy to stop bullying the retards. Okay, I am the one that did that. I am the positive influence. I am the non-toxic one. Just for the record, all you out there who are gonna probably share every clip of me you can. Well, what about this guy canceling the Acolyte? One of the worst decisions ever. It was a series that was finally pushing Star Wars in a new, fresh direction and was set up for an even better second season. But a bunch of babies couldn't handle that, and now we'll be stuck with more of the same forever. And look at this guy. Also on Manny's birthday of all days is insane. Yes, this is Manny Jacinto's. It was Manny Jacinto's birthday. They literally just like fucking taking him out to D23 to promote some dumb shit, and then you fucking drop this bomb. Now, again, it's not like Lucasfilm announced it, right? It's a story from Deadline, from sources at Lucasfilm, because Lucasfilm doesn't announce when these things happen, typically.
Yeah. They also don't announce when announcements they've made aren't actually happening. They just ignore them. Where's Rian Johnson's trilogy? Did they ever announce? Like, did they ever formally address the Benioff and Weiss trilogy that canceled? Did they address that one? I feel like they did.
They may have. It may have been necessary for Benioff and Weiss to do that Netflix deal as well. I don't know. Maybe they're the ones that said it.
Yeah.
But I don't quite remember that.
The fact that Rian Johnson's fucking trilogy has never been addressed by Lucasfilm, even though Rian Johnson confirmed at least 5 times that it was still happening, is amazing. Holy crap, dude. Which that was the turning point for me in terms of understanding that the people running Lucasfilm have no idea what they're doing, because Rian Johnson's trilogy was announced before The Last Jedi came out. So that is like, in my mind, I was like, wow, they must have a lot of confidence in Rian Johnson and The Last Jedi. They know this movie is going to be a huge success. That's why they gave him a trilogy before it even came out. And then you see the result. And now we've never, ever. So that trilogy was announced in 2017, Ryan. 2017.
It was before The Last Jedi came out, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah. And announced before The Last Jedi even came out.
Here you go. Someone who's now mourning the Acolyte. Disney really just said fuck you to so many queer, POC, and non-traditional Star Wars fans, all because this show got review bombed to hell and back before it even came out.
Holy crap, dude.
Ironically, with a hashtag Black Lives Matter and a hashtag Stop Asian Hate in the profile. That's kind of like an oxymoron, isn't it? Just based on what we've seen. Now, I did see the better half of Star Wars Explained here. Tweeted this out, and this is funny too. People are even mad that the news came out saying that it's been canceled instead of like so many other things. It's just a mystery. Like there's still people asking for Obi-Wan season 2 and stuff like this. Watch this. Obviously, totally agree with Jennifer Land about the way the Acolyte news is being handled. Obviously, I'm disappointed there won't be a season 2 of the Acolyte, but I really don't like that it's being reported as canceled. The Book of Boba Fett didn't have a season 2, but the narrative wasn't that it was canceled. Some fans thought there'd be a season 2 of Kenobi, but when that didn't happen, it was never reported in the trades as being canceled. My point is, by using the term canceled, it emboldens a certain portion of the fan base, that's us, that purposely review bombed it, did everything they could to trash the series simply because it had a predominantly POC cast and was created by Leslie Headland, who's an openly gay woman. Deadline knows that by framing the news as a reflection of the show's failure, they get more clicks. Like they're even upset that it's just being reported as canceled.
The bigger story here is that Molly Damon doesn't have you blocked.
I've never tweeted about her or anything.
Molly Damon doesn't have you blocked.
I never fucking have retweeted or replied to her or anything. Why would she block me? I'm not doing anything.
Because her and whatever his fucking name, her brother, whatever his name is, they both put a blockchain and blocked everybody that's ever followed me.
Well, here's a spoiler, Jeremy. I don't follow you. Sorry to break your heart. Maybe she unblocked me because she thinks I have some good points. She knows I'm a Brie Larson supporter.
Yeah, he mass blocked like all of my followers. Like, but this is even before I got to meet you. I think it's before I met you when that happened.
I remember when all that happened. And I think I am blocked by him. But I never got blocked by her.
That's the biggest story right there for me, is that she doesn't have you blocked.
Why would she?
Well, guess what? Now that you're on the stream with me talking about it, you're gonna be blocked very soon.
I hope not. I told you the better half of Star Wars Explained. I mean, it's kind of low bar, but you know what I mean?
So I love how so now it's not even that there's no responsibility for the show. There's no responsibility for the showrunners, for the creative directions. It's everyone else's fault. That's why the show got canceled. It's everyone else's fault.
It's
not to mention Leslie Headland was actively lobbying for a season 2 in an interview recently. Mm-hmm. She was lobbying for it. She wanted it. And it clearly set up for a season 2.
There is actually, if I want to get conspiratorial or whatever, because Leslie Headland was being so adamant about asking for season 2 and saying we have plans and all this stuff and trying to generate the fan base to ask for it. Maybe that's why somebody at Lucasfilm did give this to Deadline, like intentionally, to like basically stamp that out so they don't have to put up with that for months and months and months. I'm literally just guessing, right? I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if something like that did happen, because the loudest, most annoying part of the fan base that's also the smallest are these freaks. So I don't know.
Jesus.
But yeah, all the blame gets passed everywhere else other than where it should be, on Disney, Lucasfilm, Leslie Headland, all the writers associated with this for greenlighting it, number one, spending $180 million on it, number two, and ultimately placing so much emphasis on things ahead of the story and honoring Star Wars. And that's the problem.
Yep. So if you're just tuning in, we've been having a lot of fun talking about the Acolyte getting canceled. We're going to read some super chats. Ryan has hiccups, and it makes him so fucking mad when this happens.
It pisses me off. It happens all the time when I'm on stream, just because I talk so much and I'm like sucking in breaths quick to keep talking.
We're going to talk about Black Myth Wukong breaking records right now. Another big fat L for mainstream games journos and the mainstream media in general, whether it's the entertainment media, movies and all of that, or the video game side. They are losing relevancy, and the proof is right there. Acolyte getting canceled, Black Myth Wukong hitting over 2 million players concurrently, which is insane. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah, just on Steam. Like, that's absolutely wild. Drink water upside down. Imagine going through all that fucking effort. I'm probably like dying in the process. I'm good. Let's see. What?
That's just the way you said it. Oh man.
Can you imagine me like fucking leaning, like fucking trying to get upside down somewhere, like leaning off the couch or whatever, just to drink water, probably spill it all over the place, all over my face and everything. I want to do that shit. Quadrina VR, Brian Kinnell spitting facts. Jeremy Griggs is a fig. Hail the 199, and I agree with Jay. Shadow becomes a new member. Thank you, Shadow. Homeward bound. JJ Olay for 5. Guess we'll never know the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Yeah, I'll never figure out what happened to that creepy dude. Darth Plagueis the creep. Unknown for 5. G&G should remake the More of Us video with fellow YouTubers. Some people already did that. I had no desire to like be a part of that necessarily and kind of like poke the bear towards some of those people. But there are some people out there that did it. Aaron Mooney became a channel member. Thank you, Aaron Money. Ministry of Wrong Think. Honestly, the most amazing thing that's happened recently is find out Sydney Sweeney is blessed as much as blessed in the back as much as the front. Hallelujah.
It's
you hadn't been paying attention before now.
Pretty crazy.
Tobias Nexus for 10. A game full of anthropomorphic animals and Souls-like combat doing well. Color me surprised that people would buy a game without DEI to the point that there aren't even humans. Thank you, Tobias. And we are going to get to Black Myth Wukong. We got a lot of super chats to get through, but we will get to Black Myth Wukong here. Greg Koenig for $20. I turned my dad, who was in the Secret Service in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, onto you guys and D-Day Cobra, and he asked me yesterday if Jeremy was gay. I said yes, no, but I had to explain a lot of inside jokes and gay jokes.
I imagine
if you just come into this thing, you're so.
Oh yeah, dude! Like the comment section is just brutal. But that's why we love our audience.
Spencer Anthony for 20. People on Twitter are saying TCW season 1 was bad and that got better down the line, so Acolyte deserves a season 2. So they compare a 25 million, 24 episode season with clear profit margins to an 8 episode, 180 million season with zero profit whatsoever. Now, you're talking to me. Yeah, they should have canceled Clone Wars too. But
no,
it is different because when you look at the actual numbers, there wasn't like a decline in interest, right? It wasn't anything like that when you look at that first season of TCW. So it's tough to make those comparisons.
Well, they're just idiots. So, I mean, anybody making that comparison, these people, again, the whole show catered to them, and they're claiming that it's not catering to them at all because you're never going to make these freaks happy ever.
No, I am on board with the idea. Yeah, Clone Wars should have been canceled.
No, 100% not.
Did a lot of damage to Star Wars. Animating Andy for 2. Solo lost money. Raylos are weird. Acolyte is both.
True.
Danish Halfling for 2. Gonna miss those ratios. Yeah, it's over. It gave us the last parting gift. You know, we did get that. You know, the Acolyte could have just faded into existence and people would have been asking for season 2 for forever. But instead, they gave us one last surge of glorious things to laugh at.
Yep.
Wayne CH, this season of only one. Christian Rockfire, the fact that people think bad reviews are the cause of the cancellation is hilarious. The cope is strong with them. Yeah, I guarantee you, if the reviews were like this, if it's an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, right? And if there's a bunch of people out there that are saying the Acolyte's so bad, if it got great ratings, they would 100% be renewing that thing. And why wouldn't you? It was successful, but it wasn't. Nobody was watching it. That is the reason it was canceled. I guarantee you that the people at Lucasfilm are not sitting there and saying, oh, wow, a lot of these YouTubers who don't like Disney Star Wars, they don't like this, which means we probably should cancel it. No, they I'm sure they wanted this to be a success. They wanted it to get numbers. They probably had some suspicion that it wasn't going to do as well as maybe they thought after some of the backlash. But the truth is, it was a failure, a viewership failure, a ratings failure. So they were forced to cancel it.
The fact that these fans is a very loose term, but
Disney Star Wars fans.
Yeah, Disney Star Wars weirdos. The fact that they think that Lucasfilm is looking to cater to people like me and Ryan in any capacity just shows how much they don't understand. It's a pure victim mentality. They need to be victims. Disney Star Wars fucking hates us. Lucasfilm hates us. They despise us. The key people anyway there hate our guts. Yes. And they know who we are, and they hate our guts.
They do. Word of mouth cuts both ways. Yes, Gary. And I will once again say, I've been fucking screaming this shit for years at this point. There's some people out there that believe that by talking about the Acolyte, that by talking about how bad it is or shitting on or whatever, that somehow we are actually giving them free promotion, that we're helping them out, that you're just helping them. You're letting more people know about this show. The idea of all press is good press is an antiquated idea. It used to be the reality, when there was like 3 TV channels and fucking everybody was getting a local newspaper and things like this.
Yep.
In the current day with the 24-hour news cycle, with social media the way it is, with all these things, if people are talking about something and overwhelmingly people don't like it, that is a bad thing for that product. That's why they try to silence people. That's why they go out there and run campaigns against the people that are saying these things about them. All press is good press is not a reality anymore. It's just not.
Nope.
If the overwhelming amount of coverage is negative, it hurts your product. What are the 2 most talked about projects that we've had in the last year? The Marvels and the Acolyte. The Marvels was the biggest flop in the history of the MCU, and the Acolyte is the biggest flop in the history of Disney Star Wars. That's the truth. So the people that want to push that narrative that somehow you guys should just stay quiet about these things, just don't even talk about it. No. If overwhelmingly people despise something, it does damage to it. It just does.
Yeah, and a lot of people, just to be clear, a lot of the people that are pushing that are just jealous because other creators are getting more attention than them, and they don't really like that. And that's the YouTube world, man. There's a lot of jealous people out there. I don't understand that. I don't understand being jealous over other people getting more views or whatever. YouTube is a huge kind of system, and you've got to learn to do what works best to your strengths. But getting jealous because other people are getting attention, like, it's such a nonsensical take. At the end of the day, people are going to have their opinions, and all we do is give our opinions, and then if the audience agrees, they tell us. If they disagree, they tell us. The Acolyte was hated by everybody. It didn't matter what we did. Me and Ryan and Gary and a few other people could have made praise videos about the Acolyte, and it was never going to have a difference because every fucking body else hated it.
Yeah, other than if that was the case, we would have just got fucking ratioed into oblivion.
We would have gotten absolutely destroyed over that. But the point being is that we just gave our honest opinions. And the people out there, generally speaking, agreed with everything we said, which is what's been happening with Disney Star Wars for a long time now. That's just the bottom line.
Crimson says, I'm in Amandla Instagram comments dogging that bitch 199. This is what I will say. I can't control what anybody does. I don't think anybody needs to be doing that. This is a massive fucking failure. She is an embarrassment. She went out there, she attacked Star Wars fans. And you know what? When that happens, you're going to get some clap back. but I don't endorse anyone necessarily doing that.
We can't. That's against terms of service, and we would never do that. Never have. So there are some people out there that love to do that, and there's video evidence of them violating terms of service. Pretty amazing. Kind of stupid to actively do that, but not here.
Anyway, let's get into something else that's not a disaster. Despite the best efforts of the woke mainstream journalists who have been attacking Black Myth Wukong for months based on lies from IGN, well, Black Myth Wukong finally, 4 years to the date after that first gameplay debut, it's here, Jeremy. And do you think the woke mainstream gaming outlets, you think they thought it was just going to flop, that their influence maybe would stop this game from being a massive success?
Woo! It's a beautiful thing, man. Mainstream games journalists are irrelevant. They do not matter at all. Proof is right here.
Yeah, because when I woke up this morning, I checked it because it was over 1 million last night, just a couple hours after its actual release. And I woke up this morning, I see this. Over 2 million people playing Black Myth Wukong. And you can see that ratio there, pretty high on the like ratio there. 94% of people that have played it have liked it so far. And this is, of course, just on Steam. This is breaking, shattering records everywhere. This is from Grum's Black Myth Wukong by Game Science. Now the number 2 game of all time with nearly 2.2 million concurrent players.
Holy shit.
This is the list. The top played games of all time on Steam. Most of these are multiplayer games, right? It's very rare that you get a breakout like Cyberpunk or Elden Ring that nearly got to 1 million concurrent players on Steam. And now it is the second most played of all time. For a single player game, that is insanity. It doubled up the previous record set by Elden Ring.
And again, Elden Ring. Do you guys remember how big Elden Ring was? Like, Elden Ring was insanely huge. And it's doubled Elden Ring. That puts it into perspective right there, because even normies know what Elden Ring is. Even normies knew it. Like, holy shit, Elden Ring, and it's doubled Elden Ring. That is insane. Holy crap.
You can see as of about right now, there's 2 million people. The peak was at 2.2, probably before people had to start going to work and shit, right? 2.2 million. And I don't know if it can get any higher than that. It potentially could when we see that peak around the same time. But this is a massive, massive success. And some of the gameplay I've seen looks pretty phenomenal. It really does. A lot of people describe it as Souls-like with a mix of kind of the new God of War games as well, when it comes to some of the cinematic displays and the way some of the boss fights feel and everything. And right now it's getting a ton of positive feedback. And it is a bigger success than I think any of us actually expected. I thought it might break the record and get to 1 million. That's what I was thinking. It doubled that in just a few hours.
More than doubled it. More than doubled it. Like, I will be buying the game. It's going to be a busy week for me with the DNC and all that other stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this game, sitting down and just putting some time into it. And this is the type of game that I would have supported anyway, mainly because the mainstream games journalists have targeted it. But it actually does look good, and people are actually enjoying the game. So you've got the trifecta there. You've got the mainstream games journalists hate it. So you've got that going for it. It's actually made by a quality studio that actually doesn't want politics into it, and people are liking it. So you've got everything going for it. So there's no reason to not support this game. If you're interested. Wow. Are we making a positive reaction to something, Ryan? Wow.
I am. Obviously, I'm going to spin it on. Fuck the woke mainstream games journalists. These are losers. They wanted it to fail, and it's a big mega L for them, right? That's how I got to spin it if I talk about positive win like Black Myth Wukong, but it's the reality, right? We saw what IGN tried to do by claiming that these developers are misogynist and blah, 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 sexist, all this shit. We saw some of the reviewers bring those lies up in their reviews. We saw some people take points off for lack of diversity. For a game that is a Chinese game that is based off a Chinese novel that was written in the 1500s. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what this is based off of. And you're complaining about lack of diversity.
that we need to see a lot more wins like this when you have a game that's, again, going back to the do's and the don'ts thing that happened a few days ago. I covered that, and to me, it was very simple. This is what games journalists should be. You shouldn't be bringing politics into it. You shouldn't be bringing DEI into it. You shouldn't be bringing feminist propaganda into it. You shouldn't be bringing COVID into it. You should just be reviewing the game, talking about the game for what it is. That's not complicated at all, unless you're part of the mainstream games journalist, which they don't talk about video games. They talk about everything but video games so that they can put their political narrative into it. So this is a massive win right now. Will it maintain? I mean, obviously, they're going to maintain 2 million players. That's just not possible. But will it maintain the success? This is a single player game. So again, as Ryan mentioned, the majority of the games on there were, multiplayer games. That's going to keep people engaged, keep people coming back. A single player game is going to have a short life cycle, but it's still a massive win, and you can't take that away from them.
Yeah, because obviously it's a game that you'll eventually finish,
right?
And maybe you'll go back and play it later from time to time and things like that. But and if there's ever a DLC, no idea what Black Myth Wukong's planning to do on that. But yeah, so you can't expect it to stay at 2 million people perpetually,
right? Huge win across the board, man. Absolutely awesome. Between the Acolyte getting canceled, between Black Myth Wukong being breaking the record for biggest single player game on the Steam charts, mainstream is melting down, and they are irrelevant. They do not matter, and that's the most important aspect of this.
All right, back to some of these chats. Thank you guys for a big turnout today. Over on Rumble as well. Speaking of Rumble, we got some Rumble rants. B. Barrett, I sense a mild inconvenience in the Force, as if dozens of voices are reading. Yeah, I've almost every Acolyte video I make, I very sarcastically say, I'm sure the dozens of Acolyte fans out there are very upset. John Getz for 2 saw the most brain-rotted comments saying Rise of Skywalker was a result of listening to racist Star Wars chuds, and that Diego Luna and Pedro Pascal being in successful shows doesn't count because they're white passing.
Jesus.
John Getz for 2. They already have books planned and will conclude the stories in comics and books that no one will buy them. Then Amanda will write some cringe fanfic erotica and have Manny read it to own the chuds. Well, so I know there's prequel books coming out for some of the characters involved. I don't know about how much other content we'll get for it, but guess what? No one will buy those. Just like no one bought the High Republic.
That's right.
John Getz for 2. Journos are so small, they don't matter. Hogwarts Legacy, now Black Myth being the biggest games of the year after these pathetic boycotts. It's like 2 towers. You have no power here. Pat, with a lot of A's for 2. Jay needs to collab with the Naked Yoga Girls to reach 100K. Maybe he can do a voiceover as long as he doesn't appear.
If he just does like a compilation of all the meltdowns on the Acolyte, you could get at least 3 or 4 videos out of that one right there. Okay. And then just do a reaction to a Mike Zero video. I'm going to do a reaction to a Mike Zero video on this channel, so I can get his title. Like Brie Larson rages at Ryan Reynolds over Deadpool success.
For the last 2 weeks, he's been putting out videos that's like Leslie Headland explodes after Star Wars fires her and cancels the series. Right? Like Leslie Headland filing lawsuits against Disney after being fired. Like all these things that are like not true. I'm sure those are going to get so much interaction now that the show got canceled, even though those videos are completely fake and bullshit.
Yep.
I fucking hate that guy,
dude,
with such a passion.
Listen, clickbait works on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, but he has literally no shame.
None. He has none.
And there are almost every week there's somebody in my chat that asks me a question about one of his videos, and I'm like, this is not real. He's tricking people. It actually bothers me.
Listen, I respect that he's like a robot. Like he just says the same thing in every fucking video. Like literally, there's no change.
Yes, but it's made up. Like it's fake.
I know that.
That's the bothersome part to me.
Yeah. I'm gonna react to one of his videos.
Downvote. Bronsonite for $1. Danky's animated montage of Ryan angrily trying to get rid of his hiccups, trying all the different stupid shit the audience has told him to do. Two's news for two. Should we send a wellness check for Alyssa Mercante? She might not be handling the Black Myth Wukong news well.
Oh,
I honestly have no idea how she covered or anything about the initial thing coming out, so not sure. All right, where was I? What Plagueis? I thought it was a land of the last Slee stack. Thank you, Magnum. Alex for two. I did like watching Amandla dance. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Gyrate and shake, I'll watch. Copeside Phil for two. The X-Men Origins game is great and underrated.
Yes, a lot of people love that one too.
Nandy for five. Star Wars needs to go past the Skywalker saga like 1,000 years ahead. That's kind of what I've said. They need to truly like remove themselves from this, stop relying on the nostalgia, cameos, things like this, and truly just because you have freedom to create anything you want in this galaxy. That's what they need to do. It just needs to be with a good story first and foremost. Lance for five. Immediately after proudly staring into the horizon, Plagueis came out of the shadows and immediately ran through Osha and Chimera with his lightsaber. I actually, at one point, I speculated maybe that could be the end of this, that Chimera's not actually a Sith, but he's like, he wants to be, or he's like hunting for them or something. And because of what Chimera's doing, he's drawing too much attention to potential Sith, and that fucking Plagueis and Tenebrous show up and just kill him at the end and kill everybody. But, you know. Stay-at-home hippo for five. Tamura Morrison recently said he will not be returning as Boba Fett because of how bad the show did. I actually think there was some misinformation surrounding that. There was a post from a couple places that put ellipses somewhere where they should have ended a quotation. It was kind of a Screen Rant article where he said, I'm still waiting for a call. I haven't got one. Don't think I'm going to be in the Mando and Grogu movie. And then the next part of the story from the journalist perspective was, it's clear that the reception, that how badly Book of Boba Fett did has affected the character going forward. That got attached to a Tamura Morrison quote, and then I think IGN even ran with that, but there's nowhere I can find anywhere where he actually said those words. That is the reality, but I don't think Tamura Morrison said because the show did so poorly, it's affected the use of the character going forward. Because I almost made a video about it, and I spent an hour doing a bunch of fucking research because I wanted to make that video, but I couldn't justify it because I think it was bullshit. David Cushmore for five. I'm glad the show's canceled. I've watched Alien Romulus and I thought it was all good. Have you seen the movie yet? Yeah, I saw the movie. I didn't think it was good. I actually enjoyed the first half of it. I liked some of the things they did with the retarded synth and that relationship. I liked the idea of, hey, Weyland-Yutani's got these people almost like his indentured servants here trying to keep them to mind, and they're trying to escape. But because it would require interstellar travel, they had to go get the shit. I enjoyed some of that stuff. I think it really went off the rails in the third act where they truly just started trying to remind you of every other single thing you've ever seen in an alien movie. And it just got really convoluted and boom, 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 thing happening here. And it didn't allow it time to breathe. I thought the third act went completely off the rails. So it was kind of a meh movie for me overall.
I didn't see it, but I talked to Gary about it. And yeah, I mean, I'm not a big, like, I like Alien and Aliens. I'm not a big franchise. I'm not a big, like, yeah, it's not some big franchise I'm into per se, but so I really wasn't that not high on going to see the movie.
But the first half of it, I did enjoy. I did. Animating Andy for two. Again, $180 million shit show failed. Drunk 3PO. George Ramirez for five. In honor of Leslie Headland and my racist death threat fans, please play a clip of my Discourse Ryan video as an honorable goodbye to the end of an era.
That's such a bad, that is a horror clip right there. Okay. Like, good Lord.
It was getting copyright claimed, remember?
Yeah. Yeesh.
Cactus for two. Alyssa Mercante checkup now that it's canceled. I don't know how she feels about the Acolyte. General Order 24 for five. The only negative from the cancellation of the Acolyte is that Ryan isn't miserable today. Yeah, I'm feeling okay. Super Secret Club for five. Never forget, negative views had no effect on the Acolyte. Oh, would you look at that? Look how the turns have tabled.
That's right,
folks. Warren for two. Ryan likes get Vince McMahon when he hiccups. No, thank you. Probeside Phil, remember, that's only stream. The real total is probably 3 or 4 million. This deserves is not just because it goes against Sweet Baby. It's a great game. It was tough for me to read. But yeah, this is just the Steam charts. Just the people that are playing it on Steam. So, of course, that's only a portion of the player base. Taker for 2. Darth Plagueis, the voyeur. He liked watching. Yorozuya for 5. Boogie and Wings are going to the Trump rally tomorrow in white dudes for Harris shirts for Locale Live.
I heard about this, and
Do they have to fucking specially make those? Do they make them in fucking 8X?
I'll have to cover that on Cobra Cast, depending on what time it is. I don't know what time. The Trump rally is probably during the day, but I did hear about that.
Young Sykes, remember for 4 months, we so bored, don't fuck with your discourse. Yeah, to the point where no one wanted to pirate it. Freeze in hell, Acolyte. Infamous, Jeremy. What's the most underrated WrestleMania?
Underrated WrestleMania. Honestly, you know what's shocking? And the channel remind me, I still don't think that the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart Iron Man match gets the respect it deserves. I know people remember it, but that is truly like those are two of the greatest in-ring performers ever, maybe the two best. And that match doesn't really get mentioned as much as it should. And I don't know why. You hear, like Austin and Bret Hart, and when they did the double turn, that one gets mentioned a lot. Taker versus Shawn Michaels, both of them get mentioned a lot. Rock versus Austin at WrestleMania 17 gets mentioned a lot, but the Iron Man match kind of flies under the radar for some reason, and I don't know why. So I'm going to say that. Was that 11 or 12, I think? So I'm going to go with that one.
I don't know. David P for 5. A moment of silence for Jay, who will now never reach 100K.
Poor guy.
Find something. I still do. It's really sad, but I still remember. You remember the tweet that he sent out last year for his New Year's resolution, like in 2023?
What did he say? Oh, about 100K.
It was like, it's my goal to reach 100,000 subscribers by this year. I'm motivated. Thank you, guys.
Oh man.
It'll happen before the year's over.
But I will say this, chat. Now you got me on my wrestling kick. The most underrated match. CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, SummerSlam. SummerSlam was at 2013, 2012, 2013. That is the best match that Brock Lesnar has ever had, and it's because CM Punk sold the living shit out of it and made Brock Lesnar look like the beast he is. He threw Punk around that ring like a fucking rag doll. I love that match. That's one of the greatest matches in the history of wrestling. Fucking love that match. And nobody talks about it.
Remember for 7 months, had my card stolen, but got it back now so I can call y'all a knee girl big hat. Thank you. Good, McCock. Glad you got your card back. Leslie Headhand for 5. Wait till you see next season. Gay, trans, white, Chewbacca. I was going to say Chupacabra. Jason Yankovic for 5. Ryan doesn't understand. The Acolyte was made for him to poop on. There you go. Health Minister of Belgium. I hear monkeypox about to break out of the DNC. Do they need a health minister? That could be a danger zone there. I agree with Jay for 2. The only one I go after is Jeremy R. Beardo. Look at X. There you go.
Oh,
Leslie Headhand for 2. I'll be in charge of that game in a few weeks. Maybe there's an opening. DJ for 10. Just curious, numbers wise, is this one blowing up because it's the only one the CCP will let the Chinese buy on Steam, etc.? I have no idea what the rules for Steam are. I have no fucking idea about that. The sarcastic mailman member for 10 months. Hail 199. Brian, what up? Jeremy is gay. Beardo eats corn the long way. I agree with Jay. Waffles feet waffy feet savvy. I'm out. Thanks. Darth Gavel for 2. BMW stream reviews overwhelmingly positive.
Do you know what you're prepared for tonight, Ryan?
I really hate you. Like, not gonna lie, I fucking despise you. So you can go make fucking thousands and thousands of dollars on your fucking Cobra Cast shit that you're gonna make me host Tuesday night's main event. I don't want to be there. I have other things that I should be doing. I have other things for Sports Wars that I should be doing, but instead I'm gonna be fucking sitting there on Tuesday night's main event because you have to do your other fucking show. Fuck you. Like, legitimately, fuck you. So yeah, I'll be co-hosting Tuesday night's main event tonight.
I used to listen. I listen to you two, okay? So I don't argue on Twitter anymore. Or when you call me up when I'm doing something, I have to listen to you two. Occasionally you listen to me. Occasionally. I listen to Ryan more than he listens to me. Don't let him twist this around.
I didn't say anything about listening to me. I'm just talking about what I have to do tonight.
I have to do shit for you too.
Oh, God. Darth Gavel for 2. BMW Steam reviews overwhelmingly positive. Yes.
Jeremy, don't trust Jay no more.
Z Herb for 5. I'm fucking laughing at the Acolyte skills, crying over the cancellation, LOL, calling everyone and thing toxic while them being the most toxic people. Thank you, Z Herb. Leslie Headhand for 5. I just got asked to be producer of this show. Yeah, there's a position open. Buddy Rabbit for 5. I still maintain the show probably would have drawn better attention if it was a Tenebrous Plague story. I said that from the beginning. If this was an actual Sith story, right? I don't know if I want to fucking with Tenebrous and Plagueis, but it was an actual story about 2 Sith, a master and an apprentice. So you inherently have this, like, the apprentice is kind of resentful of the power the master has, but doesn't know if they're strong enough to overtake them yet. The master is not going to be super trustworthy. The apprentice always wondering if they're going to come after them. But one of them makes a mistake and potentially exposes them to discovery by the Jedi. And the Jedi start investigating. And the Sith are desperately trying to cover things up, killing a bunch of people they may have been connected to, trying to cover this up while the Jedi are coming after them. And finally, it all breaks down, and they're forced to a massive confrontation that they somehow escape, kill all the Jedi, and cover it up in a way that no one finds out. That should have been the show, and I think that show would have been better, more positively received, more interest towards them, but that's not what they decided to do because the people that they hired.
Imagine if this guy ran Lucasfilm Story Group.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of people quitting, I think.
I've made the argument for years. There is nobody with a prominent following, in my opinion, that knows more about Star Wars than Ryan.
I so hesitate to say because there's so many like very knowledgeable people out there, but I always appreciate the comment from Jeremy.
Yeah, fuck you. I shouldn't even said anything nice. Go back to Mexican Iron Man.
Yeah. Mexican Iron Man member for 58 months. I'm fast approaching 5 years as a member, and my G&G membership will endure longer than any woke-ass Star Wars show. Hail Ryan and fearless leader Jeremy. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. You're a boss.
Hell yeah. Good to see you here, brother. Lord
Botha. Borderlands releasing on digital streaming August 30th. Came out in theaters on the 9th. Yes, I was going to talk about that, but then the Acolyte shit started, so I'm going to make a video about that at some point today. It felt like 73% in its second weekend after an $8.6 million opening.
Dude, that is legendary.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. To fall 73%. So the something like Avengers Endgame. I don't know what the Endgame, drop was the second week, but it was probably like
Spider-Man No Way Home, right? That dropped like 67% because it opened so massive.
Right. But to open it like all-time low and then have another 73% drop on top of that is truly next level. Holy crap.
Feels like the Marvels. Mace Windu for 5. Needs to be a discussion. If a show is canceled after one season, it isn't canon. LOL. If it does so poorly with fans, it doesn't belong in continuity. Well, maybe they'll say that someday. But Super Secret Club for 2. Poor Star Wars Explained. Jeremy, check on him.
Yeah, he'll be okay. He's got Dave Filoni's cock in his mouth.
Yeah. AD the Demon Slayer for 10. I'm devastated about the cancellation of the Acolyte. I had the same heartbreaking feeling when I stopped seeing Odin's box office breakdown videos on G&G.
Yeah, he still does those on the website. So he does those on geeksgamers.com.
Rattle Shark for 5. I'm all for DEI hires. You should bring Snarky J into your family. Thanks. Jason D for 2. Will Acolyte get willowed down the memory hole? I don't think that'll happen.
But that would be awesome if it did.
It would be funny if they removed it completely.
It would be funny. Holy crap. That would add insult to injury for the weirdos crying about it.
It would.
But they just took it off of Disney Plus and they couldn't watch it anymore.
That'd be great.
That right there would be amazing. Holy crap.
Jay for President 2024 says Sergeant Sodomy with a picture of me. Thank you. Jason Yankovic for 2. At least we have Star Wars Outlaws next week. It's true. Copeside Phil for 5. The only way to save Star Wars is to get away from Disney. No other way it can be saved. If they rebooted it, they'll destroy everything. Raven Black Sparrow, DBA Lower Lips Liquor for 5. Drunk 3PO and Chrissy should have a race to 100K. They're both less than 3K away.
I think right now the bigger thing is when we meme on a lot with Jay. He's got his book release coming up. That's his main focus right now. But if he could get some Star Wars videos cranked out, though, he'll get there.
Ron Cook for 2. I'll be on TNME just to hear Ryan bitch about it. Lucifer the Doberman, member for a month. The Darth Bane series would save Star Wars on Disney Plus. It would not save Star Wars, and I would not want any of these fucking people touching the Darth Bane trilogy. They can go fuck themselves. Dave Filoni fucked him up anyway. Quagmire, Ryan, what boat you're on? I was on the Bush. I was on the Lincoln, CVN 72. I knew some people on the Bush when they came in for training when I was in San Diego. But yeah, shout out. Taker for 5. Ryan had a Cowboy Bill moment from Silence of the Lambs when he saw his face on Amanda's body. Also, Jeremy has confusing feelings over it too. I think I look good. Soulful Design for 10. Jeremy and Ryan, don't be twin a-holes. There were some good fight scenes in Acolyte. Even you two twinks can admit that much.
No, there weren't.
Well, so this is what I will say. I think that the lightsaber combat in the Acolyte was actually better than anything Disney Star Wars has ever done.
That's not a compliment.
But that is a low fucking bar.
Yeah.
I do think there were some interesting creative things that they did in the lightsaber fights, but I think for the most part, they were kind of poorly executed. They were flashy, but I think they could have been a lot more compelling than they actually were. Best for Disney Star Wars, but nowhere near the lightsaber combat we saw in the prequels. And I don't even think that's like a crazy thing to say.
And I'm not, fuck this show. I'm not giving this show any credit for anything. This show was a piece of shit, period. End of discussion. There's nothing good about this show. There was nothing redeeming about this show. Fuck this show. Fuck Leslie Headland. Disney Star Wars can go straight to hell, right where it belongs. I'm not giving this show any compliments whatsoever. It was an absolute piece of shit. Fuck it.
All right. Over on Rumble, Fat Ninja TDR. I don't let things go. Hey, Jeremy, here's $1 from my mom's sock drawer.
Well, thank you.
Thank you again, Quagmire. I was on the Lincoln. Burb shit for 5. How about they make Star Wars less campy and retarded fan fiction more Blade Runner-esque before it goes the way of Doctor Who? Well, it just depends, right? Not everything can be that way. But Archer Blades for 320. The power of one. The power of two. The power of Manny. Pretty good, actually. 1, 2, Manny. This isn't where I parked my car for 2. BK Outpost will be making an appearance tonight. Apparently. East Coast Coasting was on the Lincoln in 2019, where I left in, I think, 2016 or 17. When did I 2017 is when I left. I think May 2017. So no, we did not cross the streams over there. I don't know if we have time to do this trailer reaction stuff.
What is it?
Something called Y2K. Apparently, Rachel Zegler's in it.
Yeah, let's do it if you want to. You could save it for Tuesday night's main event since you're so excited to host that. And get the opinion of like 8, 9 people instead of just me.
Yeah, let's just watch it. Y2K official trailer. Rachel Zegler, Jaden Martell, and Julian Dennison. All right. I am sharing sound. Here we go.
Let's check it.
Any lucky lady gonna get the midnight kiss?
Just talk to her, dude. What's up, Laura?
We're actually going to this New Year's thing. It's going to be a total shit show.
Oh.
See ya.
It's 1999, and we getting broke.
Or do you remember how crazy people were over Y2K?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. We thought the world was going to end. We thought it was all over.
Yeah,
Everybody was
people like
panicking.
filling their bathtubs with water in case like all this
Mhm.
stuff happened. Yeah, dude, it was crazy.
Everybody was freaking out over that. It was wild.
In a few hours, you have an excuse to kiss the girl of your dreams.
Open up. Take us away.
It's so smooth.
Y2K is real.
Someone's on the net.
Dumbass. I use gel.
The Tamagotchi just grilled through a chick's head. Come on, we gotta go.
We are experiencing major problems as a
Good
result
old
of the
Big Willie
Y2K
style.
breakdown.
Bye-bye, human race.
We're talking global computer apocalypse.
Sorry, guys. I guess you're fucked.
They made a video on everything. That's crazy. You don't know how this shit works.
Grab a bike, grab a board, grab whatever you can.
This has been the shittiest night of my life. Fuck this! But it's cool that we got to hang out for once.
Oh, let go!
I mean, it doesn't look like offensively bad as much as just it looks bad. It's just cheesy.
It looks
and
kind of
hokey.
funny.
So
It looks kind of like schlocky, stupid funny. You know what I mean?
It looks like one of those like 90s, 2000s kind of like hokey comedies about I nothing offensively bad about it. So
No, and it was funny that it's like executive produced by Jonah Hill because it reminds me of they're trying to mix a little bit of Superbad with This Is the End.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's almost kind of like the vibe I got from some of it. So it was funny when his name like passed across there. I'm not saying I'm fucking dying to see this, but I thought the trailer was kind of fun and dumb.
It's not something I would necessarily go out and watch, but I also don't see it as being like just based on the trailer. There's nothing like out of line or offensively bad. It just looks kind of cringy, but maybe got some funny points. So yeah, that's my stance on it right there.
Yeah, there you go. Well, here's a trailer reaction.
There's your trailer reaction. So,
Lucas didn't have Maul take down eight Jedi at the same time. Maul even had to isolate Qui-Gon to beat him. That setup was beyond ridiculous, way too OP. East Coast Toasty Boy for 5. I joined in November 2015, and I was in Oceania with 143. There was a chance of it happening if I ever needed to go over there. Wow. There you go. Andy plays games. Member for 14 months. Wait, naval vessels are named after presidents? Imagine being on the Biden. Also imagine being on the Trump. They're named after different things, but yes, when you look at the carriers out there, after old presidents. Jason Yankovic for 2. I liked it better when it was maximum overdrive. Taker for 5. Mog trying to arrest someone. Stop. We have the right to arrest you with your permission, of course. Please, I can't have any more write-ups. And that's all she wrote.
that's it. So tonight will be interesting. You're going to have double streams, Cobra Cast versus Tuesday night's main event. So we'll be streaming on top of each other. I'll be covering.
All right, Switzerland play IT for $1 on Rumble. Jeremy, I can't tell. Did you give up on the beard, or you're trying? Are you giving another try? No matter what, it looks disgusting. Thank you.
No, I shaved. So I guess I haven't shaved in like a week, but I personally, everybody's got a fucking beard, and I don't want what everybody else has. So fuck it. Everybody's got a beard. But with that said, big night tonight, Tuesday night's main event. Then we have the DNC coverage on Cobra Cast. So if you're not into politics, you'll have that. and you'll have a young man named Ryan there, along with the rest of the fucked up panel we have. And I guess that'll just be fun for Ryan. Are you looking forward to it, Ryan? All right, so
I'll be there.
You guys have a good night. The Singing Tigs says, angry Ryan for Tuesday night's main event must be my birthday. Hail Ryan greater than Jeremy. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Have a good night, and we'll see you all later tonight. Bye, everyone.